Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I apologize in advance because I think I caught something when I went to work from the office last week, and so I'm gonna be like super nasally, and I apologize for the audio and for my voice in advance because I am already annoyed with how I sound, but the show must go on, I guess. So essentially what I want to be talking about in this video, or like by the name, I assume that you know what we're going to be talking about, but I essentially just want to go through all of the things that make up my IKEA greenhouse, and like this specific one here, so the Redsta. So I have two IKEA greenhouses, one obviously the Redsta that's behind me, and then I have a Millsbow wide up in my office, which I have a whole other YouTube video basically showing how I set that up and like just the process it took getting that up and running and the products that I use. But I haven't done anything for my Redsta yet, so I kind of wanted to do that and create a video just to show you guys what I do with my Redsta. And it's really simple, honestly. Like the stuff that I use is really simple, so I'm not like super complicated, and I don't know, like you can dress these up really nice, and I'll see if I can show some examples of like a IKEA greenhouse Facebook group that I'm a part of. And like some people do some like really crazy and wild stuff. I don't have the room or really I don't know, I like simple, and I don't like to overcomplicate my stuff, so I'm sure it would be a fun project to work on, but that's just not how mine is set up right now. So if you're in the same boat, you're looking for something that's a little bit more simple and you don't really want to invest too much, I guess, time and or money into, then this may be for you. So the first thing that I would recommend is to get like some sort of airflow, or like good airflow going through. So because these are enclosed, and I mean they do have like little gaps and things like that, so some air can go through, what I would recommend actually getting is good fans, or like smaller fans that you can put up into in the cabinet. And I'll show you kind of like in B-roll what the setup is for mine. But essentially I have two fans up in the top right corners, and you can kind of see them right there, and they're held up by these really strong magnetic hooks, and they're like nice and anchored right at the top corners, and they're pointing downwards so that it's creating airflow for the plant, so that there's no like stale air in there, and there's good airflow so that no fungal issues can kind of occur. So there's that, and that's one thing that I would recommend as kind of like a bare minimum when doing this. I know some people don't actually use fans in their IKEA greenhouses, and I mean, if it works for them, that's great. I personally wouldn't recommend it because I've tried that in my IKEA greenhouse upstairs. Actually, no, I never tried it with the one upstairs. I put one fan in it and it wasn't enough, and then my plant started getting fungal issues. So I just don't mess around with that kind of stuff anymore. So I just automatically do that. Another thing is these they're kind of just like cord management, or like they're little clips that have like a sticky adhesive, and I'll show you. So this right here, like it's red plastic that's covering it, but you essentially take that off and then you can stick it to like any kind of surface, and then you can kind of open these up like this, and then tuck the cords in there and then clip it back up again. So I'll show you kind of in B-roll what it looks like, but all of the cords, like for my lights, for the fans, everything that's up above is kind of using those to keep the cords from like hanging down and being shown. So I really recommend getting these too, and it just helps like clean things up and everything, and it makes it like tidied up a little bit more. And then one of the other things that I use a lot is these, which it's hard to see kind of, but it's a cord organizer. So they open up like this, and then they kind of close up, and you can like tuck cords in there. And the good thing about the Redstas being black, like having a black background, is, and then you get black like this when you're doing any sort of like cord management, is it's nice because they kind of just like they fade in together, right? So like you don't see it as much. So the cords for the lights that are at the top of my cabinet, they're all white. So I have to use these in order to kind of like hide it, because it would just stick out like a sore thumb, like a white cord just hanging down from a black background. So this is another thing that I would recommend getting. Again, like it's not needed, but if you want to make it look nice, like that's one thing that I would recommend, is doing some sort of like cord management, just to like make sure that the cords are nice and tidy. Oh, I have to to like move around because my feet are starting to go numb. Okay, so this one's gonna be a little bit weirder because I don't actually know where my weather stripping is that I used for this one. But here's another form of it. So this one's kind of in, like, it's in a D shape. I don't know if you'll be able to, it's focusing too much on me. But it's in a D shape and it's squishy and it's kind of like rubbery. So one thing that I would recommend is weather stripping, because if you want to keep some sort of humidity in there, or if you want it to be a little bit higher humidity, weather stripping will really help with like lock in that humidity and keep it like within it so that it doesn't escape. And specifically what the Ruds does, the gaps in between some of the like panels that are being used are like quite large. So I'm using a clear weather stripping for this, and it's a different type of weather stripping. It's almost like I have like a flat, almost like it's also kind of rubbery, but it's more like plasticky type of weather stripping, and that will be better for like flatter surfaces, whereas like, or like it'll be better for like closing doors and stuff. And I'll show you what I mean, because I tried to use this on my IKEA greenhouse upstairs as the only form of weather stripping because I thought it would be better, and then I realized that like I can't actually close the doors because it's too big or it's too thick. So I ended up just having to like I super glued it, so there's no way I could have taken it off without damaging some of the door. So I basically just like cut it down, and it looks super weird when you have the doors open, but when you don't have the doors open it looks fine. But yeah, I would recommend getting some sort of like weather stripping, and whether that be like these to close the gaps or something along the lines is what I have in this cabinet here, where it's like the flatter stuff. So okay, we've covered weather stripping, we've covered cable management. Oh, one other thing here, I'm having to like move my legs again. This is the thing about being in your 30s, you're not as flexible as you used to be. So you may be wondering also what is holding up the plants that are in there, and you can do this a few ways. So like I'm using these, what are they called? They're like magnetic spice racks that you kind of put on the side of your fridge, or like that's what they're marketed as on Amazon or like anywhere you buy them. They're just like, it's like a metal grid basically, and it's like that, and then the back is magnetic, which works really nicely with these because the whole back is metal, right? So it's nice because you can kind of take them off and move them around as you need to. So that is what all of the plants that are kind of like sitting on something, so like these guys right here, these guys down over here, and then anything that's not really on the floor, I'm basically just using the vertical real estate in my cabinet that way. I used to have it before where I had the glass shelves in here, and I'll insert like that reel, I think I changed around the whole like setup of this in a reel, so I'll make sure to put that in on this video to show you what it looked like before. But I basically had like everything stacked on top of like glass vases, or everything was stacked on top of glass vases and things like that, and it was like super sketchy. Like I was always so nervous of plants kind of, I don't know, like gonna topple over because they were kind of higher up and nothing was really there to secure them. So that's where these really come in handy. So the only thing that kind of sucks about them is that I wish that they were a little bit more like adjustable, or like that you could get adjustable ones where like this could come out a little bit further. So like obviously smaller plants, which I mean, you're not putting huge plants in here anyways, but all of the smaller plants, they have to fit within this width in order for it to be used within that vertical space. So that's the only thing that I wish that these did, was they were a little bit more adjustable, because then you could put ones, I don't know, with a 6-inch pot or whatever. Like obviously you'd have to do it within reason, because it can't be too heavy in order for this to hold on to it. But these are pretty sturdy, and they're pretty durable in terms of like the amount of weight that they can handle. What else is there? So I know a lot of people actually drill holes into their Rudsta cabinets, and I did it for my Millsbo upstairs, but I never did it for this one. And the reason why is just because, well, I lived in an apartment at the time, and I didn't really have access to tools like that, and to be able to take it outside and, you know, like drill holes into metal and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just didn't want to make a huge mess into my apartment. So what I did is I essentially just opened up, or like I left the screw out of the one of the back panels on one of these, because there is all held together with screws, and it's 3 separate panels that are actually on the back of this Redsta. And I just left one of the screws out, and I just fed all of the cords through the back, because that was just the easiest way for me to do it and to hide them without having to drill any holes. So if you're in the same predicament where you don't really want to drill holes, or you can't drill holes, like you don't have the right tools, then you can do something like that too, where it just doesn't require you to do that. So some other things that you can do also, or that you can add. So I used to, in this cabinet, I actually used to have a shoe mat down at the bottom, and it fits perfectly if you do want to do this. The shoe mats at IKEA, I believe they fit perfectly, or the ones here fit perfectly, except for I had to cut like a little thing out of the middle, because where the magnets are, where the doors actually go in, or like attach, it was too big for that, so I had to cut a little hole there, but it fit perfectly otherwise. And what you can do is kind of like top it up with a like leca, or if you wanted to, I don't know, like river stone, or like any sort of like stone. And then if you wanted to increase the humidity, or like keep the humidity really really high in your IKEA greenhouses, like you could do that, where you put that down at the bottom and then fill it up with water whenever it kind of evaporates. All like when it all evaporates, you can kind of like top it up like that, and then that can also increase humidity within it. But I personally do not do that, because to be honest, I just couldn't be bothered. I can't be bothered to be doing that, especially in the winters when it gets so dry and everything evaporates like within a day here. It's absolutely wild. So I didn't want my plants depending on that humidity in order to like grow and to live, especially like if I'm not going to be home or something like that. Like I'm not going to be able to refill that little shoe mat every single day if I'm gone from the house. So that's why I kind of took it out, and I made it more of like a, like a more minimalistic look, but it was functional too, just because I just didn't want them to have to rely on that in order to live, or they would throw a fit whenever they didn't get it. And then I guess one of the last things, and I'll quickly show you guys some of the things that I have upstairs in my Millsbo as well. But go and again, like what I said before, go and check out that full YouTube video, and it kind of just goes through all the different things that I did to set that up, and all of the products. But one thing that I do recommend, and obviously it's not needed, but like I like to just have them around just so that you know what's happening. But you can get these like hygrometers, and they just tell you like the room humidity, or like they tell you the humidity, so down at the bottom, and then they tell you the temperature, so that's up at the top. So, and these ones here, they have a magnet on the back, so they can actually like attach to the back, which I really like them. So let's see if I can do this, but so they can just sit on the back like that. And I know it's hard to see, but I basically just attached it to the metal back. But they're really nice for that, because maybe if you don't have other space, then it's nice to be able to do something like that. So it's nice doing that with your Redsta, or like having that on your Redsta, because on my Millsbo it's a glass back, and I kind of have to attach it. I kind of have to like leave it on the floor of it, or like on the bottom part of the cabinet, or it has to go onto like the grid that I have in the back. But and it's just good to know, I feel like, especially when it comes to IKEA greenhouses, like if you're going to use it for things like, I don't know, propagations, or smaller plants that may like the extra humidity, then it's nice to just know what the humidity is and what the temperature is within them too. What else is there? So there's lighting as well. So the lights that I use are Barrina T5s or T8s, and they are pretty strong, and they're full spectrum, I believe. And what I would recommend is getting good lighting, because the backs of these obviously don't have, like, if you're gonna want it facing you so that you can enjoy it, and like that's kind of the point of these, is so that you can like have the IKEA greenhouse facing you, so that you can kind of enjoy what the inside of it looks like. Then you will need some sort of light, unless it gets like a lot of daylight from the front or the sides. So that's what I would recommend, is like getting some sort of like lighting to put in there too, and make sure that it's full spectrum so that the plants can get the full spectrum of light that they need. But one thing that I do, and I'll put in some B-roll, what I used to do before was I like almost super glued it, or like use like adhesives to put it to the top. But the good thing about these cabinets is that it's all metal, so I was constantly rearranging things when I first had this, and like I didn't like it a certain way, or like I would change my mind in a few weeks after I laid it out differently, and sometimes the lights would have to change as well. So like I would put in my glass shelves, or I would take out the glass shelves, or whatever, right? So one thing that I would recommend is getting like strong magnets, and you can get these off of Amazon too. You can super glue them to the backs of these lights, and all of these lights are like individual when you buy them, and then you can kind of attach them to these magnets. But I would recommend getting these like stronger magnets, and then you can kind of like take it on and off, or move things around if you need to. So that's definitely one tip that I would recommend, is doing something like that, because it makes it a lot easier if you don't like where the current light is, or I don't know, after a certain amount of time you're like, no, I think I need to move it a little bit more to the left, or whatever, right? It's fully flexible, and you can move things around when it comes to that, because it's not being stuck to the top by like some sort of adhesive. So that's definitely one thing that I would recommend, is if you are going to be putting artificial light, which again I recommend you do, you can put those like really strong magnets on the backs of the lights, so you can kind of move them around, and it's really nice and really easy to do that. Or another thing you could do is actually get warming mats, or like ceiling mats. So I know some people use those in their IKEA greenhouses, and again, it all depends on what you kind of want to use it for. So like I'm not really using this one down here as like a rehab type of thing, where like I'm putting like cuttings or anything like that, or if I am, then it's like cuttings that I know won't need super high humidity, but will get a decent amount of light. But you could get like a seedling mat, and then put that down at the bottom to kind of like increase the heat within your IKEA greenhouses too, because I know some people that live in colder climates, like their greenhouses can get pretty cold at night, and if you don't want that, or if you have like really precious plants that you want to make sure that they root out, or you're kind of using it for more like rehab type stuff, you could do something like that too. So like you just got to make sure that when you have them all installed, or like when you have the heat mat installed, you have kind of like safety measures put in place. And I know that some of them have like safety stops and things like that, so that like it only stays within a certain temperature and things like that, just so that like you don't accidentally, I don't know, start a fire, or like you don't want to burn your house down, right? So like there's things like that, and those are like some of the things that you can do, but you just have to keep a close eye on them. But yeah, this video is not going to be too long, just because I'm just showing you my very simple setup. I will show some other examples just of like how other people do it. Like I know like some people put like panels on the back, or like they'll put like wallpaper on the back, like sticky wallpaper, and it looks really cool. And if that's the kind of look that you're going for, like totally do it. And I'm sure there's like hundreds if not thousands of ways that you can kind of dress up your IKEA greenhouses, but I liked mine to be a little bit more simple, and I liked the like contrast of like the green or the lighter green on the black backgrounds. But yeah, there's so many different ways that you can do this, and I know that there are a few different Facebook groups online that you can kind of go and, I don't know, just get inspiration of how other people do it. I know some people like stack these things, or like make a full wall of them, where they kind of put a few side by side, and then some of them will actually, like what I just said, like stack them on top of one another to make them taller, and you can do a bunch of really cool stuff with these. So yeah, I definitely recommend you go and check that out. But yeah, I'm really interested to know, and I wish commenting kind of worked on YouTube where you could put photos in, but I'm really interested to know what everybody else's IKEA greenhouse setup looks like. And like, do you use that wallpaper? What kind of other accessories do you use? Because I don't know, I feel like this is just what I use and this is what I do, but there's, again, like what I said, there's so many different ways that you could do this and make it personalized for like who you are and your style. So yeah, I'm really interested for you guys to let me know what you guys do with your IKEA greenhouses. So make sure to comment down below and tell me, I guess, describe to me or send it to me over on Instagram if you're, I'm Philip Brandon over on Instagram. So send it to me on Instagram over there because I'm really interested to see how everybody else's setup is. Just so I can kind of like get ideas or see what other people do. But hopefully this video will be of help to somebody that may just be starting out or has never done this before and is just looking for examples of what they could do. If you're kind of on a budget or like you just want it to just be quite simple and you just want the plants to be the one to like steal the show, you could do that, and hopefully it'll be helpful for the people that want to do that. So one other thing that I forgot to say as well is one thing that I would recommend, and you, I mean, again, you don't have to do it, but this is just what I do, is getting like smart plugs. So, I mean, you can get any smart plug, but I essentially have all of my lights and stuff. I think it's just my lights, yeah, because my fans run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but I run all of my lights, like all of my grow lights, including my IKEA greenhouses, all on smart plugs, and then I set them on like timers so that they stay on for certain amounts of time and they turn on and off all by themselves. So this is another thing that I also recommend you get. Obviously, if you're looking to do it on a budget, you can just turn on and off lights and it's like no big a deal. And like some lights actually, they're nice because on the cords themselves they'll have like timer little switches on the cord, so you could do something like that too. But the ones that I have, they're just a simple like on and off switch, so that's why I have these. And it's just something that I would recommend because it just makes your life so much easier. And I mean, I pay for convenience all the time, so this is just what I use. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not following me over on Instagram or on TikTok, make sure to do so. I'm over there and I post kind of like two different types of, I post kind of like different content over there. TikTok stuff is more like chill and like FaceTime-y type of stuff where I'm like kind of doing things and just kind of like random, or like just telling random stories or just talking randomly. And then Instagram is more of like the showy, like, I don't know, like reels and photos and stuff like that. So again, if you haven't followed me, go follow me over there. Thank you so much for watching this video and we'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.